Welcome to Fuel FM. It is the Winner's Circle, episode 6-ish, somewhere in there. And super excited today. SeanBE hanging out in the studio with us. Sean, welcome. Thanks so much for hanging out today.
Man, thank you for having me on. This is exciting. I'm glad to be on with you.
Kind of a new artist to Fuel FM's lineup.
Yeah.
Kind of a new artist in general, I think, probably in the Christian music scene. So
Yes, sir.
how has that ride been? Kind of give us a little bit of background. Obviously, it's the generic questions of who were you?
Right.
I'm curious because you came from Denver, Colorado originally, and it
Yes,
says
sir.
you were a next-gen pastor. Would love to have you kind of expound
Yeah,
on that
man.
a little.
So that was awesome. So I led children's ministry and youth ministry. I had a friend that I partnered with on the youth side, and then I was directly over the children's side. And man, that was some fun times. I'm talking about, planning youth camps and weekends and, vacation Bible schools and stuff like that. It was just it honestly, it brought so much joy to be able to make church a place that young people wanted to be at. We really strive to build those relationships with not only with kids, but with the families as well. And so we just, we just made so many great relationships in that season with families, from the parents all the way down to the kids. It was an awesome season.
I spent a little bit of time in youth, children's ministry as well, youth ministry a little bit as well. And one of the things that I found interesting that is if the kids would come and have a great time, it would naturally bring the parents in.
That's exactly what we started to see, is that as the kids started to have more fun and wanted to be there, the parents would show up. And I even had some parents like, we weren't going to come today, but they just didn't want to miss. And
Yep.
but I saw that, and I've seen that, and it's really cool because that, like, the kid is such a driving factor in getting families to church. And I think that that's one area. It's almost, I've heard of situations, and I've seen situations where the next generation almost becomes an afterthought, because it's like, well, we need to pour into the right now, and we need to make sure that, we have, between this age range in church every week and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes the next gen can become an afterthought. But when you flip that upside down and you put a good focus on the next gen, it really, not only drives the family, the parent attendance, but it also continues to grow your church for generations to come. Because I've seen some of the same kids and the same youth that I've helped bring up turn around and become, children's volunteers or youth volunteers. Like it kind of just turns around. So it's a powerful ministry to be in, and it's a very important ministry to be in.
The phrase, these kids are the church of tomorrow, always bugged me because it's like, no. They're the church today, right?
Right.
We have
That's
to
so
teach them
good.
today. So,
That's right.
tell us about your journey going from youth children's ministry to musician. How does
Yes.
being in children's ministry affect your stage presence? That's what I want to know.
Man, so the number one thing that I learned with, kids and youth ministry is if your energy is not equal to or above theirs, they lost you.
Oh,
It's, you have to be just present and in the moment. And honestly, you have to be creative on how you're going to keep attention and stuff like that. And so, I think that played a lot into just kind of like the charisma and the energy on stage now that I'm doing music, is because it's, like, okay, how are we going to get creative? Because if you can entertain, ages 5 through 17 for an hour, like, like that's saying something. And so it was, it was trial by fire. We tried a lot of stuff that didn't work, and until we moved around and found what did work. And so, it came over. It came over a long time. But I think back to my children's ministry days. We do vacation Bible school, man, and I had this really cool concept to like play these characters, and we were like on this jungle safari thing. And man, the first character that I played, I threw on a safari outfit and a blonde wig, and I was Wooloo Mooloo, the Australian safari leader. And I'd come out like, "What's up, kids? You ready to have a great time?" Like, it's just like, just like went all out for it. But I'll tell you that the biggest thing from, since we're talking about stage presence and stuff like that, the biggest thing that I learned was that, like, don't hold back, like go all out and believe it. Believe what you're doing, because if you believe what you're doing, then people will believe it. The authenticity is, it's always surface, and so just don't hold back, be you, and don't be afraid, because, for me, I was like, well, if this is going to give these kids a great time in church, then this is what I got to do. And
Yeah.
this is, above all, God called me to, to bring these kids to him, bring them close to him, and, make church a place that they want to be. And so, don't hold anything back. Just let it fly.
And it's like, if you feel ridiculous, you're succeeding.
You're in the right place.
We had a VBS one time. Did you ever see this skit from Saturday Night Live when Jim Carrey plays the lifeguard at the hot
Dude.
tub?
Yeah.
I played the lifeguard. My friend.
Oh my God. So you know exactly what I'm talking about then.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I love that, man. I love that. And that's always how I look back at it too. Like you said, that was fun. Like it's always fun. It's always fun looking back at it. It's like you feel weird, you feel silly in the moment or whatever, but like it's always fun. It's always worth it. And those are the things that people remember too.
Yeah.
Those are those moments where you're not holding yourself back. You're doing whatever you need to do to make people have a good time. Like those are the things that people remember.
Did you ever do the song "Drive the Bus"?
I did not do Drive the Bus.
Look up "Drive the Bus."
Okay.
And then do it on stage sometime. You'll get people doing it.
Oh my gosh.
So what was that decision like, going from ministry to ministry, really? I mean, going from ministry of that to being an artist, what led to that? Was that a tough decision? Where are you at with that?
Yeah, so it had always been, the music ministry had always been something that I wanted to do, and it was something I tried to do for a long time. I actually started off in hip hop. I was rapping at first. Nice. And just kind of trying to get something going. I didn't really know what I wanted to get going, but I knew that I wanted to do something, right? And I just had kind of like taken attempt after attempt, and things didn't really seem to work out. And so the decision, I came to this season in my life where I was like, all right, God, you know what? Like this is what I want. This is my heart. I want to, do ministry through music, and I want to, I wanted to do pop music. And so it was just like this whole thing. And so I had this really tough prayer that I had to pray, and my grandma taught me how to pray this. She said, you have to pray for the things that you want, but you have to also be able to tell God, even if none of this happens, I will joyfully serve you wherever you have me. And so even if, like, here's what I'm praying for, even if it doesn't come, I'm still going to love you. I'm still going to be thankful, and I'm still going to give my all to wherever I'm at. And so I prayed that prayer, and that's the prayer that put me in ministry for that season. And the way that it came about, to make that music transition was I had taken a trip out to Nashville, Tennessee. And the trip was to do some collaborative stuff with a TV station. And I went out there, and I called a friend of mine, and I was like, hey, man, I'm going to be out here. Do you think you could, show me around the city? And he's like, yeah, man, no worries. I got you. And so he set me up with a few meetings. Within one of those meetings, I met with who is now my management company, We Rock Entertainment. And they had talked to me this, like, hey, so what do you do? I said, well, here's how my last summer went. Here's this song that I just put out. Here's a few things. And so by the end of all of it, they had expressed to me, we might be interested in doing something with you. Seems like you got good music. You're a good writer. That's awesome. But, we'll be honest, it would help a lot if you lived out here, because it's hard to do anything management wise if you're not local and available. Yeah. And so I called my wife that night, and I was like, hey, there may be an open door for us to really step into this. There may be that thing that, we have been praying for, but it would take a lot of sacrifice on our end. And she, she's like, well, what would it take? I said, we would have to move out here to Tennessee. And, I'm worried about what she's going to say. I'm just like, oh, she's not going to go for it. She's going to say, no, that's not for us. Man, literally the next thing out of her mouth is, okay, I'll start packing. And
Wow.
and I was just like, come on, really? And so I'm
Where's the
going into this
cameras?
conversation. Yeah, exactly. Man, I'm going into this conversation thinking I'm gonna have to do all of this to convince her, right?
Mm,
Her response is, I'll start packing, totally flipped my world upside down. And now I felt like I was trying to convince myself because I was like, wait a minute, no, no, it can't be that easy. No, no, there's no way. And
right.
so about 2 weeks after that, we had come as a family down here just to check it out, look around and, see what we could see if it was a place where she would like to live. Man, 3 weeks after that trip, we were living here in an apartment.
Wow.
We picked up everything and we moved, and it was a tough and exciting decision at the same time. It was an exciting decision because when I made the trip, I had gone through fasting, I had gone through like heavy prayer before I came out here, and I was just like, all right, God, if you want something to happen, if something like this is still going to happen, like, first of all, this is probably my last chance for something to happen. Like I have no in, I have no connections, I have no chance. That this is the last shot. Miraculously, if you drum up some relationship while I'm out there and it works, then I'll know. And God just did beyond that. And then not only did he find the relationships, but he put the peace on my wife's heart to say, okay, let's go.
Wow.
He moved and arranged things around so that the timing of us leaving Colorado and showing up for our apartment and everything just worked out perfectly. The hardest part was for me was letting my home church where I was leading at. I had to let them know like, hey, I know this is crazy. I know it's wild, but this is really pulling me. And I want to let you guys know up front, like it's a hard decision to make, but it's the one that I feel is right. And I'm worried about that. And they're like, awesome, we're praying for you. We support you. This is great. Telling my family even like, hey, we're taking off. They're like, good. Like so God just had his hand in everything. And I've continued to see now transitioning into, doing things like Winter Jam and stuff like that from the time that we decided to move, not even that, from the time that I took my first trip out to Nashville. God showed me something crazy. And it was that on paper, none of what's happening makes sense right now. None of what's happening should be happening. But with my past, the way that I used to think about myself and things like that, God had to do it this way
Which is what
because
way?
which is this way that nothing makes sense, saying,
Oh,
God, there's no chance, there's no hope, there's no anything. Like I'm trying all that I can do, but I can't do anything. He had to do it this way so that looking back, I could say, man, that had nothing to do with me. Like that was all God creating those moments, creating those opportunities, opening those doors. The way that, like I said, it doesn't make sense
yeah.
that things would line up and work like that, but they did, and it's because it was within his plan, within his will, and finally not within mine.
Isn't it crazy too how we still get surprised by all of that? Like, oh, my wife was
Yeah,
so on board, and my church said
yeah,
go, and it's all,
yeah.
gee, God, you came through again. It's like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And like I said, it was at that moment where I was like, okay, either miraculously something's going to happen out there, or I'm going to give this dream up and I'm going to, just I was like, maybe I'll be a pastor one day,
yeah,
maybe just continue on this track. And God flipped it. And I still believe that, maybe I will be a pastor one day once this season has come to a close, which I hope is not for a long time. But, I, it's like you said, we're surprised by things still. We shouldn't be, but God just continues to surprise me.
well, and really describe pastor, right? So every time
Right.
you're on stage, you're singing words, you're presenting the gospel in some way, you're encouraging people. I mean,
That's
you
right.
you have a stage that God's given you and a voice, and
Yes, sir.
it's a good voice, by the way. And
Ah, thank
we love
you.
having you a part of Fuel FM here for sure in the lineup. You just fit really well into what we're about, and we appreciate your music. But um, love the song "Step Into My Story." it's kind of like that's all what you just described. Um,
Yeah.
but I want to look at that song and talk to it on an angle like this. What happens when we feel like God isn't stepping into our story, and it feels like,
Oof.
man, where are you? Because I've been praying for you to step in, and it doesn't feel like you are. Have you been there?
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Too many times. Um, so the answer to that is why the bridge of Step Into My Story is in there. That's where it chants, we didn't come this far just to come this far.
Didn't come this far, just to come this far. Started showing me how that could happen in my life, and it's more than I can imagine. Yeah, we didn't come this far, just to come this far.
That is my answer to that. And I'll break that down and say life is not perfect, unfortunately. Nobody is going to lead a great life. Everybody is going to have things that hurt them because the world is imperfect. As we're born into sin, we're born into a fallen world. It just can't be perfect like we would love it to. So we are going to go through things. We're going to experience things. I think that, God giving us that free will to choose him, first of all, that shows, our ultimate love, but it shows something even more than just our love for him. It shows his power because of this. The things that we go through, they do two things to us. They can either stop us and set us back forever, or they become stories and they become ways to save other people from similar things that we've gone through. And so for the people who are saying, man, I've been calling on God, he's not there yet, man, I don't believe that God is putting you through these things intentionally, but I do believe that God is allowing you to grow and learn from these things, because when you come out on the other side, you're going to be able to say, look at this person that I was, or look at this thing that I've been through, and look at where I am now. And this is because of God. And God will take that story and he will use it to save the life and change the paths of people who are coming behind you. Your story could save somebody from a life of drug addiction, from an abusive marriage, from, just any kind of hard thing that you would go through. The people who are currently going through that now, or who have gone through that, like, those stories can save the life of somebody coming up behind them. And so, it's just this huge concept of, we all fight battles, but the battles that we fight are not forever. And while our battles that we fight are not forever, our testimonies will be forever. And our testimonies will have a lasting impact and a lasting effect. And so for the people that have been calling on God, wondering, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? I would encourage them to be patient and to continue to serve, because the enemy wants to see them fall. It's like the story of Job. It's like, hey, I bet you anything I can have Job stop praising you. Like, the enemy wants to see them fall, wants to see them hurt. But the ultimate glory is when you come out of the other side of that battle and you are still worshiping God and you're still loving God. God can lift that high, and God can use your life to be more than just about you. Your life and your story now becomes about the people around you and the people that you are inspiring and affecting, and, all of that. And so it's a really cool thing to know this is just around the corner,
Right. One thing my wife has reminded me of, and really helped change my perspective, not every day, get me, but it's there, is that when you can say things like, this is happening for me, instead of this is happening to me.
Yes.
I think that it helps your perspective realize, what, God is already in my story.
Yeah.
He's waiting for me to just acknowledge that he's there and invite him in, like your song where, talks about,
yeah,
hey, Lord, step in here, please.
Yeah.
But he's like,
Yeah,
I'm here. I'm just waiting for you to ask.
And that's it. It's surrender. Sometimes we just need to get out of the way.
Absolutely. Sometimes.
It's so crazy. I was talking to somebody about this weekend, and just pointing out, like, sometimes we complicate God's plan. We can way overcomplicate it, because in our head, it doesn't make sense, right? Like I said, even about my story not too long ago, on paper, it doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be happening. In our head, God's plan doesn't make sense. But you look at battles like Jericho and, the ones that Gideon led, like they didn't actually fight,
Right.
when it came to those battles, they won and didn't have to fight. And I'm sure when God was given instructions, hey, march around the wall and then blow the trumpet. Hey, wait until night and then break your lanterns and yell really loud. Like, okay, but God, when are we actually gonna battle though? When are we actually gonna fight? And God's like, no, just quiet. Okay. Just do what I'm telling you to do and it's gonna be good. And so when receiving those instructions, it's like, this is God's plan. God's plan doesn't make any sense. Does he know that we have to go and fight this thing? But that's why he does things that way. And so it's like, if you get your head and yourself and your pride, if you pull all of that and get it out of the way and just do what God says to do, then you see his plans start to work out and you see the story that God is writing for you. And when you start to follow that story that God's writing for you, I believe that that's when the true desires of your heart come into play, because the desires of your heart are no longer what you want, but you've aligned your heart with God. And so you desire his will. And so then you receive those things because you're desiring what he desires for you,
Absolutely.
So it's just this incredible thing, like get out of God's way,
Yeah. It reminds me of a scene in The Chosen. I don't know if you've seen that series yet.
Yes, yeah.
I think it's season 2 when he's talking to Simon the Zealot and he hands him his dagger and he's like, whoosh, right in the water. He's like, wait a minute, what did you just do?
Yeah.
He's like, I know it doesn't make sense, but this is how we're going to do it.
That's it. That is literally like, that's how God works.
Yeah. So a little plug there for The Chosen. Sorry. Anyway.
There you go.
So last Thursday, you were here in Grand Rapids in the great state of Michigan.
Yes.
What's it been like for you on Winter Jam? Congratulations on being invited to be a part of it, by the way. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, thank you.
What's it been like?
It's been, man, it's been a lot of things. There's not a word that I can stick to it. First of all, it has been just an incredible opportunity. It's been a huge blessing. To, when I moved out here, just, talking it up with my friends and stuff like that. Like, oh man, what if you got to do Winter Jam one day? And I'm like, yeah, maybe like 3-4 years from now. And then, finding out a year, then I'm on the tour a year later,
Right.
So, and Winter Jam, I mean, Winter Jam's been going since before I was born. I've known it. I've grown up knowing it, watching how it just like, the different artists that they featured and stuff and the heart behind what they do and how low they're able to keep the ticket prices because they want to make the music accessible to everybody. Like all of Winter Jam is just, it's incredible. And so now to see this tour that I followed for so long, with artists that I've listened to for so long, Jeremy Camp, and it's like, man, like, dude, you're Jeremy Camp, and so from that perspective, from my Christian music fan perspective, I'm geeking out every weekend. I'm just like, I can't believe I'm here right now. And then from the artist perspective, it's incredibly humbling. It is the most humbling experience that I've had because, you walk in and you do this thing that you just love to do. And, people get excited to see you and, especially being a new artist, they're like, man, I've never heard of your music. Like you're one of my new favorites. And it's really humbling because I'm like, are you kidding me? I feel blessed that you're listening to me, like it's weird to hear people say like, thanks for coming, had a great time, amazing show. Like those things kind of trip me out because I'm like, thank you for letting me go and sing some, like, from my perspective, it's like, well, I'm blessed to be doing this. And so it's been a humbling experience in that way. And then just to see how, the headlining artists, the acts, how they carry themselves and, they don't act like superstars, they're just like, hey, how's it going? Let's play some ping pong, It's just one of those things that is really eye opening and really just, really encouraging as well. It's like, just another reason why I believe that God has his hand in it, because the calmness and the peace that I've had through all of this and the way that he's opened my eyes, it doesn't feel like, it kind of feels unreal,
Yeah.
back to that. On paper, it doesn't make sense. It feels like it shouldn't be happening, but it is happening. And so, I've just been just thankful for every stop, every person I've interacted with, every hand I've shaken. I'm just so thankful for all of that.
How can we pray for you and the artists? Because Winter Jam's a grind. I mean, it's work. It's not just always fun and games. I mean, it's a lot of stuff going on. How can we pray for you? And what is a good prayer need for you guys?
Man, I would say just endurance, stamina, endurance, energy, because you're right, it is a grind, and it's not, I think because I had this perspective as a fan. It's like, oh yeah, all they have to do is show up and play, and it's cool. Man, I'll tell you, the crew is there early in the morning. They set up and tear down the stage every day.
That's crazy.
Like that huge stage, and I'm talking the lighting, the effects, the screen, nothing is there for them when they get there. Yeah. They come in and they do that every day. And, and the merch tables are set up and torn down every day. And it's just like, we're driving every day, 8 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours,
Yeah.
It's a lot of grind every day. And so I think that, an awesome prayer would just be for endurance, continued joy through all of that. And, I think that would be huge. And I know for sure that that's something that I could use prayer for on my end.
Yeah, for sure. We will be doing that. As a kid, who did you grow up listening to? Did you have a favorite artist or band?
Toby Mac.
Oh yeah, okay, of course.
Easily. Yeah, man.
And then, so that actually maybe answers my next question: is if you could collaborate with anybody, who would it be?
Yeah. That'd be it. It'd be Toby. Yeah, that's on the bucket list. I'm working towards that. If
you're watching,
Toby, if you're seeing this, I actually have a new song coming out called Center Stage that I was able to create with one of his producers, Kyle Williams. And Kyle was the producer on his last song, The Goodness. I didn't know that going into the write with him. I found that out afterwards, and I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Hold on a second.
Yeah. We actually gave our listeners a little sneak peek at that song the other day. So.
Oh, nice. Okay. Cool, man.
It's a good one. Be ready, guys, because it's awesome.
Yes, sir. Cool. That's awesome. But yeah, it's Toby, hands down.
Yeah, for sure. I can see that. Well, Sean, man, we appreciate you so much. We appreciate your music, the message, and just your heart of letting us get to know you today. All the best to you on Winter Jam and into your future. We hope to see you in Northern Michigan, maybe sometime Big Ticket Festival or Unity Music Fest.
Yes, sir.
We'll get in touch with those people for you and say, hey, this guy.
Man, that's huge. Yeah, we love that. And hey, man, before we sign off, do you mind if I just pray for Fuel and Fuel's listeners real quick?
Absolutely.
Awesome. God, I thank you so much for the great work that Fuel FM is doing, God. I thank you that you've just given them that heart and that mission to bring that love to the people who listen, God. I thank you for the people who listen, who tune in every day, who just find their comfort and their joy in the songs that continue to uplift you, God. I thank you for the people that surround themselves with that positivity and that hope and that love and that encouragement, God. I pray that you continue to just pour into these listeners. I pray that you continue to pour into Fuel FM. And God, I pray right now for just your peace and your steadiness in the lives of everyone listening. I pray that you just continue to show them that we did not come this far just to come this far. I pray that you show them your plan, that you have a purpose for them. And God, we just lift up every worry and every care of every listener that's listening right now. God, I pray that you just calm them, give them your peace, and give them your joy. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Awesome. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.